Hello, everybody, and welcome back once again. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy whatever holiday you celebrate. Since I got the best movies, at least the ones I thought were the best of 2024, and a few honorable mentions, let's go on to what I think the top 10 best video games of 2024 are. Starting with number 10. Mario and Luigi Brotherhood. Yeah, one that I obviously didn't anticipate for 2024. That is because I did not know about it until Nintendo Direct's reveal. And as you can all guess, I got super excited. And why not? Being a diehard Nintendo fan, I am a fan of this beloved franchise. And I have obviously played most of the Mario and Luigi games. And yeah, they're a lot of fun. They got humor, great colorful characters, a great adventure and story and mechanics, and this one I'd say is no exception. Most of the professional critics kind of hit on this game, saying that it's kind of exhausting and not the greatest. I kind of beg to differ on that one. Okay, it's not the best in the franchise, I agree with that one, but it's still so much fun. Yeah, it's on the Nintendo Switch as an exclusive, so you're obviously able to take it on the go as well as being able to play it at home depending on which one you're playing it on. And come on, you got the two famous plumbers on an adventure on an island, and well, the mechanics and the combat system and the colorful graphics and animation, it has great humor like most of these games have. Yeah, again, it may seem a little exhausting, doesn't add a lot new to it, but it's still fun and still keeps you busy for a long amount of time. So if you're a Nintendo fan, you got a Switch, trust me. Play this one, and even though it has a lot of long dialogue and everything like that, like most of the other Mario and Luigi games do, I think you can tolerate that with enough patience and just enjoy it for what it is. It's not as bad as people say it is. It obviously isn't if I included it, at least at the number 10 spot. So give this one a go. Believe me, it still gives Nintendo exactly the best game they deserve of the year, or at least one of them. Number 9, Mario Party Jamboree. Yeah, another unexpected Nintendo release of this year, from one Nintendo game to another. This one is, well, a seemingly exhausted idea once again, but not to worry, because this one is definitely a superb entry into the franchise, bringing a ton load of playable characters, ton loads of mini games, some that you've probably played before, as well as a bunch of new ones, new content, new game modes to adjust the difficulty whatever way you want to, and whether you're playing it alone or with other human players, or even online, it's just a total blast and will keep you busy and coming back for hours and so many times of playing it. You will never get tired of it, believe me. And the newest addition is, of course, the Pro Achievement Unlockables. I mean, this just shows that Nintendo knows its gamers right here. And, of course, at a price range of $60, you can't go wrong here. With, of course, motion controls as an option for some parts, it doesn't deviate or become too distracting. It's pretty harmless for the most part. So, you think this franchise got stale despite hitting a couple of speed bumps in the past and you think it got exhausting? Guess again, because, well, this party, it's not stopping anytime soon. And with the Mario Brothers and all the characters aside from him, well, I'd say keep it going, Nintendo, because this one is definitely one you want to join. Number 8, A Quiet Place, The Road Ahead. Yeah, definitely one I didn't see coming as well. I'm sounding like a broken record with this whole thing. But being a fan of the Quiet Place movies, especially the newest one that came out in 2024, Day 1, and yeah, I was definitely a little skeptical on this one, being that it's sort of a movie license game, but more or less its own thing. It's obviously a survival game, similar to something like Alien Isolation, so yeah, I was kind of getting the similar vibes, being that it's of course a first-person game that you have to survive in the Quiet Place. It's tedious, being that you have to try to move in stealth and everything like that, and does add a lot of tension and suspense, but at the same time, it can add a little frustration. So you may be into this one, you may not be. It's anybody's opinion. But again, like Alien Isolation, it also can't be for everybody too as well. So me, on the other hand, being a horror fan, I definitely enjoyed this one. And for a $30 price tag, I'd say give it a shot if you're a fan of this kind of stuff and a fan of these movies. It has definitely the right amount of horror and suspense, just the right formula to make this game worth your while and to get a good scare to try to fight for survival and outright these sound-attracted alien creatures. Number 7, The Plucky Squire. Yeah, one that I actually anticipated for 2024, and I can safely say I'm not disappointed at all. Even though, of course, this is only right now as I'm speaking, released digitally, and for a price tag of $30, believe me, it gives you everything, at least what I expected, out of taking place from a book to outside of it in the big world. And all I could say is the characters are great, the world and mechanics, and the puzzles. It almost feels like a Legend of Zelda game, just like I'd hoped for. At least for the most part. Yeah, it's a little simplistic. Yeah, it does drag on a little bit long. And yeah, there is a little bit of text dialogue, which is to be expected out of these kind of games. But once you get past that, the world is great. The music and animation style, and obviously it looks like cardboard cutouts a bit. But I think they were aware of that when they made this game. Obviously, it's going to be released physically, and yes, of course, it is a multiple console release. Obviously, I went for the Nintendo Switch version, which is great, and I highly recommend that if you like to be able to take it on the go as well as play it at home. So, yeah, if you're a fan of Legend of Zelda games and you can handle this long text and dialogue and have some patience, you'll definitely get your kicks out of this one. Believe me, this Plucky Squire did not disappoint. Number 6. Call of Duty Black Ops 6. Yeah, I kind of jumped ship on this franchise, and we can all agree it's really gotten a bit stale, releasing one every single year, and I just kind of lost interest. So I was very reluctant to get back to the franchise, especially with this game. I didn't really know what to expect. I was like, what, is it going to be more futuristic crap or anything like that? Which, don't get me wrong, some of those are good, but it's just the same repetitive crap. But this one actually lured me back in a little bit. I'm not going to lie. It actually was pretty enjoyable, like it's getting back on track when the franchise was actually very enjoyable, with a pretty awesome campaign taking place during the 90s in the Desert Storm, a really amazing zombie side game, which I have to say is probably the best part of the game. The online is what you'd expect out of a Call of Duty game, nothing new. But for fans of this franchise who've kind of lost faith in it, believe me, this one, you may want to give a shot. I actually enjoyed this one as a fan of at least the older entries in this franchise. Believe me, it actually shows that this franchise has life in it. So, yeah, I'm just hoping Assassin's Creed can do the same sort of thing. Not that that franchise is bad, but can just get back on track. And this one, I would say, definitely does just that. Number 5, Legend of Zelda, Echoes of Wisdom. Yeah, another Nintendo entry in the franchise, this time of Legend of Zelda. And, well, for one thing, spoiler alert for any of you who haven't played or even heard of this game, you actually do play as Zelda. Yeah, the princess herself, which every game is named after, even though in those games you play as Link. This time you play as the princess herself on the adventure, which, okay, seems like a gimmicky concept. At first, when I played this one, I had a little bit of trouble adjusting to the gameplay mechanics, being that, yes, she has the sword, but not really for a long time. You use up a meter, which, yeah, may disappoint some fans. You're mostly all about using the staff, which gives you the echo power to create things from enemies or any types of hazards to be able to take out any other hazards. Basically, these enemies and stuff that you use to create out of your staff weapon are on your side to defend you. So that actually is a really cool idea. If you have the patience and let it grow on you a bit, this can actually be a very enjoyable entry. It takes a seemingly gimmicky concept, like I said, and actually makes a great adventure game with the same familiar aspects, going in dungeons, taking on boss fights. It works, believe me. It's got great music, great layout, a great open world, And yeah, you can choose which dungeon you want to go to and explore the huge... Okay, it's not as big as like Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom, but it's big enough to at least get many, many hours of enjoyment out of it, especially on the Nintendo Switch, which I'm sounding like a broken record on this one, being able to take it on the go and play it at home. Do I have to say much more there? No, there's no motion controls required for this at all. Not even for aiming or anything like that, like Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild had. So, yeah, the style is more like a remake of Link's Awakening on Nintendo Switch, and almost like Legend of Zelda: A Link Between Worlds. Once you can get over that and all the problems that this game has, believe me, it's still very enjoyable, and another big win for this classic Nintendo franchise. So, open your mind to this one, and just enjoy. Number 4, The Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. Yeah, another one that I anticipated for 2024, even though I've never really played too much of this franchise, but damn, after playing this one, where have you been all my life? This is obviously a Metroidvania style game, and I've yet to review this one in the near future, don't worry, I definitely will. But, man, the sword fighting, the action, the boss fights, the gameplay style, which of course requires a lot of exploring and unlocking all sorts of areas and abilities. And for any Metroid or Castlevania Symphony of the Night fan, or even fans of the Mummy Demastered game that I already reviewed and praised the hell out of, you'll definitely feel at home with this one for sure. Yes, there's a lot of challenges. Yes, there's a lot of backtracking. And of course, there's a lot of hazards, which can lead to a little frustration here and there. But believe me, I was not disappointed at all with this one. I just kept playing all the way through with this colorful style of graphics and animation, the music and everything like that. Playing this on the Nintendo Switch, need I say much more? Playing it at home and on the go, how can you go wrong? Even though, of course, this is a multiple console release, also available on PlayStation and Xbox and Steam, but it works fine on the Nintendo Switch, believe me. This Prince of Persia, you do not mess around with him at all. He's as powerful as hell, and he'll go all the way to make an awesome action-adventure game for sure. And this one, by Ubisoft, you didn't disappoint at all. Number 3, Planet Coaster 2. Yeah, let me be honest with you. You know I'm a huge coaster buff, and I've obviously played the hell out of Roller Coaster Tycoon 1, 2, and 3, and seeing how Planet Coaster 1, well, originally was only released on PC, and eventually it got, of course, a console release on PlayStation 4 and 5 and Xbox with some limitations. It played well, but with the whole, limiting you to how much you can build, was kind of a disappointment. But it still played great. So I didn't really know what to expect out of a sequel, but many things it was missing. Number 1, water rides, like water slides and pools and such. They delivered. Believe me, it was everything the first game was, plus a hell of a lot more. And on PlayStation 5, also available on Xbox and Steam, but only digitally right now as I speak. I'm not sure if it's ever going to get a physical release. I was a little disappointed with that, but believe me, it was worth it. It gives you so many open opportunities and almost unlimited amount of ideas that you can put into this, building your park. And yes, of course, being that it's a console port of the game, there is going to be a building limit because, well, in case you don't know, the building limit is to keep the game from lagging. And obviously, I played Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 on my PC, and when you build your parks really super massive, the game does lag. So I can tell they were trying to prevent that from happening. But the PlayStation 5, it did not disappoint with this one. Building coasters, water parks, and around mountains and water and scenery. Of course, there is not every single piece of scenery from the previous game back in this one, but if you pre-ordered and bought the deluxe edition with all the DLC, there is stuff coming back. Yes, I know there's a little bit of bugs with this game, but with all the updates coming up, and I'm sure there's going to be many more coming, Frontier is on top of all this stuff to take care and fix all these issues, and they've done a pretty damn good job. So, I can't complain here with this. A little bit disappointing in some of the aspects with scenery-wise, but I can't complain at all with the selection of coasters and water slides and water rides and other rides that you can build in this game. That's where it really steals the show. That's what you want to build, to be able to build and, of course, ride. Yep, making you feel like you own and can enjoy your own theme park. Number 2, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. Okay, yes, you know me, I'm a big Indiana Jones fan, and I was a bit skeptical on this one. And in case you're not familiar, this takes place in between the events of Raiders of the Lost Ark and Last Crusade. Well, Temple of Doom is obviously a prequel to Raiders of the Lost Ark, but anyway, yeah. I was a bit skeptical on this because, again, it's a movie-based tie-in, and, well, the graphics looked amazing. And with this game, after playing it, now, first of all, it's only released on Xbox Series S and X and Steam. PlayStation fans, not to worry, it's coming to the PS5 in the spring of 2025. No official release date is revealed yet, but it is coming, thankfully, because it's made by Bethesda, the same company that did, of course, the Doom games. And they did a fantastic job with the presentation of this one, graphic-wise, and I'm sure PlayStation 5's graphics are going to really not let down with this one at all, being that on Steam it looked amazing. I played through plenty of it, and I could safely say, man, it was incredible being an Indiana Jones fan with this kind of adventure. And yeah, there were some good Indiana Jones games in the past, but this one, man, it was just a treasure to behold. Yeah, of course, our main character isn't voiced by Harrison Ford, but I think the actor does a fantastic job voicing him because, of course, Harrison Ford is over 80 years old. What more do you expect? And yeah, the first-person perspective may put some gamers and fans of this off a little bit, being that there's not really a big third-person option. It does transition into it, but not in the best way, you could argue, but it doesn't ruin the gameplay experience. There's great amount of stealth, great amount of challenges and puzzles, platforming, and just gives you that Indiana Jones feel that, honestly, I didn't want it to ever end. I just wanted it to keep going on and on. This was a grand adventure unlike no ordinary Indiana Jones game I've ever played. And with these kind of graphics and presentation, Bethesda just nailed it right here. All I could say is if you're a fan of Indiana Jones, this one is a definite treasure that belongs in a museum. And the number 1 best game of 2024, in my opinion, is Astro Bot. That's right. And in case you're wondering, this is actually a sequel to Astro Bot Rescue Mission, which I critically acclaimed as one of the best games and the main reason to own a PlayStation 4 VR, and that was on PlayStation 4. This one is obviously a PlayStation 5 exclusive, and yes, of course, there was also Astro's Playroom, which is kind of a demo-ish game, more of a step leaning towards this one. So yeah, if you played those ones, you should seem very familiar with the gameplay concept and mechanics with this one because it plays pretty much the same way, but it isn't just the same exact thing. It gives it all the upgrades and extra content that it needs, fresh and familiar at the same time. I mean, it has, of course, our little cutesy Astrobot character as badass as ever, going into space and rescuing his friends, but with more new worlds, and of course, mostly analog controls with a little bit of motion control added in, and all sorts of different new abilities that you haven't seen in previous games. I mean, it's just, I guess you could say, out of this world. It didn't win Game of the Year award of 2024 for nothing. It's that great. I mean, you got boss fights, all sorts of different moves and challenges, and yes, of course, when you get towards the end of the game, it can be a real grind, but man, it's so much fun. And aside from all the different worlds and levels that you can explore, you can even explore your home world and unlock all sorts of different things to really give the game the necessary replay value that it really needs. I mean, like I said, the necessary sequel, despite not having the word Rescue Mission in the title, it's just straight up Astrobot. Yeah, it could be a little confusing, but don't let that deviate from your expectations. I highly recommend this one. It's not just the best game of the year, but it's also another reason to own a PlayStation 5. So that's my list of the best games of the year right there. Till next time, Happy New Year.